Welcome back to Breaking Down the Brief. I'm Allison, a current intern at IssueVoter. This August, as Congress is in recess, we're providing nonpartisan, accessible explanations of recent Supreme Court decisions. For Day 7, we consider Bondi v. VanDerStok, decided on March 26, 2025. In the next 3 minutes, let's break down this case. The Gun Control Act of 1968 requires federal firearms licensees to conduct background checks, record firearm transfers, and serialize firearms during sale and transfer. In 1972, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives was established to carry out GCA regulations for the firearms industry. The original GCA language defined firearms frames and receivers. By 1978, however, firearm designs were modernized and expanded. Privately made firearms, or ghost guns, emerged, consisting of firearms parts kits and unfinished receivers. These incomplete, disassembled, or non-functional components were untraceable and unanticipated by the GCA, therefore not subjected to ATF serialization and other regulation. To combat the outdated language, ATF issued Final Rule 2022. The final rule articulated a broader definition of frame, receiver, and firearm, now including ghost guns in the scope of regulatory authority. VanDerStok et al., respondents in this case, contested ATF's final rule in redefining these terms. They argued it exceeded ATF's congressionally mandated regulatory authority. The district court granted summary judgment used when there's no genuine dispute of material fact, entitling VanDerStok to judgment as a matter of law rather than resolving the case in trial. The court vacated or nullified the final rule in its entirety. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit affirmed the district court's determination. These lower courts reached a consensus that final rule provisions exceeded ATF's statutory authority and therefore regulating ghost guns under the GCA was not permitted. The U.S. Supreme Court focused on the key question in this case. Did the ATF exceed its statutory authority with its final rule regulating ghost guns? In a 7-2 ruling, the court held that no, the ATF did not exceed its authority. The GCA authorizes the ATF to regulate weapons parts kits and unfinished frames or receivers that can be readily converted into functional firearms. Therefore, ghost guns are within the proper scope. The court argued that weapons parts kits are considered firearms under the GCA when they contain all necessary components to build a gun intended to function as a gun. Parts are considered frames or receivers when they are partially complete versions requiring standard assembly. Ghost guns, which require only minimal work to achieve firearm functionality, fall under GCA-articulated regulatory authority. This decision affirmed the ATF's authority under the GCA to regulate ghost guns, helping law enforcement in tracing firearms and investigating crimes committed with these untraceable weapons. It strengthens the regulatory landscape for guns, closing a loophole that allows for the proliferation of untraceable firearms. As these legal battles continue, here are some sources for further exploration. Thank you for joining us for Day 7 of Breaking Down the Brief. Follow IssueVoter to stay up to date with more Supreme Court cases. IssueVoter is a nonpartisan platform that makes civic engagement accessible, efficient, and impactful. Visit issuevoter.org to learn more. Sign up to stay up to date with legislation and make your voice heard.